started, I just kind of want to ask you a few questions. Just kind of basic, simple questions. How long have you been playing golf before?
Well, it's been probably around, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so, off and on.
Okay.
I would take lessons, I would join the women's clinic, and then I stopped. And so this is the first time where I'm actually sticking with it. So now I think I'm ready to really expand and try things.
Okay. Do you play any other sports along with, picking up golf here and there?
No, I do not.
Okay. Do you have any other hobbies or activities that you like to do?
I mean, well, I work out, so, and I like to travel, so,
Nice. Where have you got? I know you probably haven't been traveling recently due to COVID, but pre-COVID, where were some places that you like to travel?
I went to Prague and Paris. Yes, I went to Barcelona, Spain,
Wow.
yeah, so,
Out of the places that you traveled, which one was your favorite?
I think Prague and Paris was my favorite. My husband was working over there.
Yeah.
And so my son and I just went to hang out, and while we were in Prague, he was working in Prague, and then we all took a trip to Paris for a few days.
That's so
Then we went
awesome.
back to Prague, and so it was pretty cool.
Cool. So you like to travel and you like to work out as well.
I do.
Do you like weightlifting or do you like running or taking classes?
I used to jog, but now I just walk, and I just do hand weights and stuff like that.
Okay. And then since you do lift weights, do you have any injuries or physical limitations within your body?
I do not.
Okay, so no injuries, past injuries
No.
growing up. That's good. That's awesome. So before we get started, I also just want to do a little bit of a warm up.
Okay.
Before you even work out or lift weights, it's important to kind of warm up a little bit, warm your body up, and then get into lifting. So it's the same thing with golf and other sports as well. You want to make sure that you warm up beforehand. And then after that, you can kind of tell me what's going on with what you're doing and if there's something specific that you want to do. So for the warm up, you can just hold the club out just like this. So you're just going to mirror me, and we're going to go side to side.
Okay.
So I'm going to go this way. There you go. We'll do this for about 10 seconds. So are you at a desk a lot as well? Okay, now hold your hands out like this. And you don't need the club, you can just lay it right on your right side. And we're just gonna do this. Right, good. And then you're gonna go the other way. Good. So you do sit a lot
All day.
all day? Okay. So golf, is it sort of something that you are starting to do to get a little bit of exercise as well? Because you said you like to walk.
Yes.
So good. All right, so we're just gonna, you can leave the club right here, and then we're gonna just pull our arm right over, right arm, stretch the traps in our right arm. So now that you are out here, and how many times have you been able to come out and play, or practice, play and practice?
Practice has been twice a week,
Okay.
and play once a week. So, and I'm only doing 9 holes right now, so just trying to get into the game, learn the game, learn the etiquette of the game and the rules and all of that. So,
Okay, good. So we'll go ahead and drop our arms, just kind of swing them out, get loose. just have fun with it, or is there a specific score that you're wanting to shoot?
Simply fun.
Just simply fun?
Simply fun.
Okay.
But I want to keep doing it. I don't want to stop this time. So simply fun, and I want to be able to play with my husband and my son.
Okay. So both of them play golf, and you want to make it a little more family oriented.
Yes, and play with girlfriends.
Okay. Good. So then also join or continue with leagues, because you did say that you have been playing with a couple of ladies.
Yes.
So good. All right. Well, today, is there anything specific with chipping that you're wanting to, get better at, or is it, you've been playing for 10 years off and on, so it sounds like you have the skills.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I have the correct stance, I'm holding the club correctly, and I'm hitting it correctly. I mean, I know with this particular club, it has more of a round face, so when I'm hitting it, am I kind of like lifting the ball? Does that make sense? Is that I don't know if that's a valid question, but
Yeah.
when I'm hitting it, am I supposed to lift it to get it closer to the club?
Okay. So are you trying to get an understanding of what the shot is supposed to look like? Okay. So that is determined by where you are on the green, and then also the club that you're going to use. That also it sort of tells you what the shot may look like. So we just have a short little shot right here, and then the club that you have in your hand. What is that? Is that okay? So look, you have a sand wedge in your hand. That's perfect. So for this short of a distance, you definitely want to use a club like that. So the grass here is not cut down to how a green would be. So you're not going to get a lot of roll. But even if we were on a green that had shorter grass, you could still use this club. We don't have that much green to work with. So a club with more loft is good for this type of shot.
Okay.
As you get a little further away, you could use your pitching wedge, or you could use a 9-iron, and that's a different type of shot.
Okay.
So for this one, it is a chip, so the ball is going to go lower, right? With a chip, the ball runs out lower. With a pitch, the ball is higher and lands a little bit softer. So for today, what we can do is I'll look at your chipping technique,
Okay.
and then we can set a goal for this target right over here. And then what we'll do is start to narrow down the space around the flag. So you always want to make sure that you have something that you're aiming at, and then also something around, because that'll narrow down how far close you're hitting the ball to the flag. So the club that you have right now is a sand wedge. And then, were you fit to these clubs, or?
No,
okay.
this was one of my attempts to play golf a few years ago, and I joined this women's group, and I paid the dues and joined it. I got 3 clubs.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay, so can I take a look at the club that you have right now? Oh, they're Wilson ladies clubs, and the grips are good too, so it doesn't look like you need to re-grip them or anything. And how long did you have the clubs for?
I've had these for about 3 years, maybe 4.
Okay, so they're fairly new.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, let's keep with the sand wedge. The clubs are awesome. They're good length as well.
Okay.
So what we'll do is go ahead and chip a few, and I'll look at your technique. And then go ahead and chip all of these.
Okay.
So what I'm noticing is that you started out with your chip shots kind of short right here, and then a few of them towards the end. What did you notice?
I think I hit a little harder because before I was kind of like barely touching it or barely swinging. So I think I realized that I needed to try to go harder and hit a little harder.
Okay. And then when you're playing or practicing, does that happen often? Do you start out with a lot of short shots and then it gradually takes some time to get further out and
Yes.
closer to the target? Okay.
And I think I may have kind of got chipping and cutting a little confused when
Okay.
I was hitting. So
Yeah, and chipping and putting are very similar in terms of the technique. So let's go ahead and go over the proper chipping technique for this distance.
okay.
And I'll move some of these golf balls. Okay, so for this distance, you want to take the club back a little bit further, and then you do want to hit it a little bit harder.
Okay.
So what we can do is go over proper technique. And what I like to do is I like to create the letter Y with my arms and my hands, right? So my club and my arms and my hands all create the letter Y. So when we chip, we don't want to break down the Y. And this is when it's very similar to putting. In putting, you never want to break down your wrist. So with this type of shot, you don't necessarily want to break down your wrist either. You want to keep the Y the entire swing. Yeah, exactly. That way we can get through to our finish. Good. So keep the Y and try not to break down the Y. So in your head, you might want to think Y, chip, Y. Good. So your stance was very good, right? You want a narrow stance. Also, your weight should be a little bit on the left side. So we're going to practice this technique for 5 shots.
Okay.
And then after 5, what we'll do is we'll still practice the technique, but I want you to focus also on getting within the red cones,
Okay.
right? Because we always want to have some sort of intention when we practice, and also some sort of focus, right? So you can still practice your technique and also have something specific, like a target that you're hitting to. We'll hit 5, and you're going to practice the Y, chip, Y. Good.
It's like a
There you go. Okay, so with that last shot, what did you feel was different from the other 4?
I think I applied more pressure and focused more on the Y, chip the Y, just trying to get to my target. So
Good.
trying to get to the
So in terms of your swing, did the swing feel bigger, or did you feel like you had the same swing but you just hit it harder?
I think it was bigger. I think I could have been both.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So now that you're getting an understanding of the type of shot that we need to hit, now you're going to hit 5 shots within the red cones, and you're going to see how many you can get within the red cones. Okay? So how many do you think you can get within the red cones? start to narrow in a smaller area around the flag.
Okay.
And this is something that I think is really good moving forward for when you practice, because when you go out to play, right, you always want to have some sort of area that you're focusing on. I mean, everyone wants to make their chip shots, but you're not always going to make them.
Right.
So it's good to start to narrow down the space that you have around the flag. So you want to make sure that as you practice, you can start out a little bit wider, and then, you know, as you get a little bit better, you can start to make the circle a little bit smaller around the flag. And then when you go out to play, you're going to start to see your shots get closer to the pin.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and do this again, and we'll hit 5 shots.
Okay.
And you're going to hit within the circle now. So it's the black and red circle.
Okay.
So how many do you think you can get within the circle?
Let's go 3.
Okay. Good. So you still got 2 out of 5. And think about it, the space around the flag I gave you is a little bit more, it's smaller.
Right.
So, I mean, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. So how did you feel about that last round?
Actually, I felt better the first round, but there were a few that I didn't hit hard enough.
Okay.
So, you just have to stay focused on the target and the line tip wide for your team. So, you got to plant that in my memory to keep doing it and to hit it hard.
Okay. And then what are you noticing within your shots? So sometimes you'll start out and they're a little bit shorter,
Yeah.
and then you'll notice that as you continue on, you do hit a little bit harder. So what are you noticing within your routine that's happening, that's causing that?
I'm not sure. I think, when I'm starting out, I'm afraid that I'm going to hit it too far,
Okay.
and so which causes me not to hit it hard enough. And then when I see that, okay, I can hit it harder, then I try to, swing a little harder and hit it further. So, I'm not sure.
Could it be that maybe you're a little bit closer, and then, since you are closer, you don't necessarily want to hit it as hard? You
Maybe
don't want it to
so.
go far?
Maybe so, yeah. That could
Okay.
be. That could be. It's just, I've got to figure out, where I'm standing, distance, and how hard or how soft I should hit it. So that's, I don't know why, but that's kind of like a challenge for me. And so I think once I get past that, then I'll be able to, be right on target.
Okay. So what we'll do is we're going to try this one more time,
Okay.
but we're actually going to use a different club.
Okay.
So you can use a sandwich from here, because the grass is a little bit thicker. And then you can also use your pitching wedge.
Okay.
So do you use your pitching wedge often when you're playing, or
Yes.
you do? Okay. So we're going to do the same thing. I can take your club. So now you're going to use your pitching wedge,
Okay.
and you may notice a difference. So you may not have to hit it as hard, because you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier about loft. but this has a little bit less loft, so that means that the club face is not as wide. So this is not going to go, the ball is not going to go as high as a sand wedge would. So it has a little bit more rollout, if that makes sense. All right, so you can go ahead and hit 5 practice shots with your pitching wedge, and then we'll get into setting a goal again. So hit 5 practice shots, and you're still keeping the same technique. You're still thinking wide, chip wide. Yes. Okay. So how does it feel with the pitching wedge? It's a little bit different.
It is very different.
Yeah. So it's always good to have options, you know, when you're playing golf. Because if you keep playing with the same club every time, then it's kind of like, why do you have so many clubs in your bag? So you want to utilize the other wedges that are in your bag, and you can still do this from this distance, and also because you have a lot of green, not a lot, but you have green to work with. So a pitching wedge or a sand wedge would work here, and it's still the same technique. So we're going to go ahead and do this again, and we're going to go within the red cones. And you're going to hit 5, and then just tell me how many you think you can get within the red cones.
I don't know. Let's go for 2 with this.
Okay. Okay, and then one more. Oh, that would have been in. Okay, so I think you had 2. So you met your goal again. That's very good. So how did that feel with the pitching wedge?
You know, the pitching wedge, it seems heavier for some reason. I don't
Okay.
know why, but I actually prefer the sand wedge better, but it seems like it's I don't know if the club is heavier, but it just seems a little different.
The club is a tiny bit longer,
Yeah, okay.
so that could be an adjustment as well.
Okay.
So this is just another option for you.
Right.
If you find yourself not hitting your sand wedge well, or you just want to be a little more creative, you can use the pitching wedge. But now you have that shot in your toolbox, basically. So based off of everything that we've done, how do you feel about the technique, and do you feel like you can apply this
I think so.
when you're out on the course?
Yes, I think so. Because I think I was using the technique for hitting the ball, like with my driver or something.
Okay.
So now I have the technique down.
Okay, so for your homework, since you said that you do practice at least 2 times a week, and you're able to play once a week, so practice your chipping
Okay.
at least 1 time out of the 2 that you do go out and practice. And I want you to try this. You know, if you don't necessarily have cones, you could use tees, but set some sort of boundary around the hole,
Okay.
and then, you know, set a goal for yourself as well.
Okay.
So try it at least once, and then, you know, long term, this will start to help you when you're playing, you know, once a week. Instead of just hitting them really short, you'll start to get them to the flag and get it to your target. So I think that'll really help. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't. I
of focus. So you want to keep your attention on your intention. And for you with chipping, that is getting it within